I know I'm up here early, my time. Earlier for the West Coast. And not quite as early for the East Coast. No. And of course, depending on where at you're in the world, depends on what time it is there, right? You see the name I give this last stream? You know, I've been screaming Agenda 21 for well over a year now, watching it play in my face. You know, Biden, before he was even in office and all this fiasco Hollywood actors played in front of your face. Oh, Biden said it more than once that he was moving towards getting rid of fossil fuels. Well, first off, there ain't no such thing as a fossil fuel. That was a name created by the banksters, okay? Suggesting that crude oil comes from bones of dead dinosaurs and bones of, I mean, it's just ridiculous, okay? Absolutely ridiculous. Such lies, okay? But anyhow, Biden openly told you that they were going to be getting rid of fossil fuels, which is spells equals petroleum, which means of gasoline, oil, crude oil, And then, of course, when they do decide to go and get rid of it, they're going to tell you that we're running out of it because we're overpopulated. And that would be a complete lie, like everything else. No truth whatsoever, okay? There's just no truth there at all. It's just all complete garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. Okay? So they're going to lie to you and they're going to keep crude oil and they're going to use it, but you won't be allowed. Don't use cattle. No, you're not allowed any of that. Okay? And here's an example. Bezos of Amazon, what did he do? He changed his entire fleet to what? Tesla vehicles. What's that about? Well, your new vehicle of the future is going to be bicycles, personally. Because most people won't be able to afford the Tesla vehicle. And even for the ones that could afford the Tesla vehicle, you'll still be locked down. You won't be able to travel where you want, when you want. You won't be able to just cross state lines. You won't be able to do anything like that anymore. Your vacation days are over. You won't be able to go far enough to go anywhere anyhow. You'll be locked into the area you're in. So places like Disney World and Disneyland in California, Disney World in Florida, well, they'll be shutting their doors. They won't have work for you no more. That's right. That'll be over with. It's gone forever because their business will go out the door because nobody will be able to get to see them. That's right. But just the same, this is where they're going. See, Biden was only repeating what's in Agenda 21. Agenda 21, 2030, 2050 is on the United Nations website. It's quite real. It's not fiction. It's not fantasy. These psychopaths are really playing it out. And I know I'm early and I ain't gonna have crap for views and I don't care. It's not about that anyhow. Eventually people will see this for whatever gets to see it that ain't censored down, pushed out, not allowed to be seen because it might smell and sound like truth and not fake truth. Not fake news, no. Like the real McCoy. And of course nobody likes the real McCoy because the real McCoy, huh, it hurts their little feelers and it scares them. Yep, and as long as you stay with your butt hurt feelers and your scaredness, you will always lose. Cowardice normally don't win anything. But anyhow, I digress. But I'll tell you something here. I want to just give you a little common sense rush. So we have a so-called cyber attack on the pipeline to the East Coast. Okay? And they don't know if they're going to get it back up and how long it's going to be before they get it back up and blah, 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 blah. That's all I hear is blah, 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 blah. Because the reality is I want to know how you got the fuel up the East Coast before the internet. Oh, before the internet? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't hear anybody talking about that, do you? How do you get the fuel from point A to point B in this country before the internet? Why would you hook it to the internet? Oh, well, you hooked it to the internet for your own advantage of being able to keep track of the gallons of fuel in the tanks and your profits without going anywhere. But before that, your gas station attendants went outside with a big old stick ruler and stuck it down the ground and measured the fuel, and you did your homework, your math, and that was turned in all the time, and that's how you kept track. But that sounds too much like I might have to use my brain, and I might have to think, and I might have to do a little bit of arithmetic, and you might have to. You might have to think. You might have to move a hand, a muscle, to do something. Oh no! What a crime! Don't you understand? They could pump that damn freaking crude oil without the internet. They done it for many, many decades without an internet. So to believe this hocus pocus, alakazam, wallackadoo, that we've got a state of emergency. That's right. And we can't get the fuel. But see, what did Biden tell you before he come in? They were going to do away with crude oil. He just used words fossil fuel. Okay, because the banksters are tricksters. They don't like to tell you it's crude oil. They want to tell you fossil fuels, and they want to tell you crude oil is running short because crude oil comes from fossil fuels, and no, crude oil don't come from fucking bones. Cyclops and idiots would believe that crap. Crude oil is naturally produced by this planet itself, and it is a renewable just like water. This planet is 3/4 water. And the water is naturally filtered by the earth itself. And this planet produces the water off the atmosphere. There is no shortage of water, never will be a shortage of water. There will be poison water from chemtrails and this and that, big pharma. Yeah. But as far as your aquifers, that you can dig down deep and go through rock, and you can get deep water in the earth that's filtered, that's rising up because it rises up for us to have as the earth filters it. No, that's not contaminated water. No, that's fresh, healthy water. And it's never ending. What are we doing allowing a handful of people to take hold of all the resources on this planet, lie to you, and own them resources? What are you out of your mind? Are people just that big of cowards? Honestly, are people just that big of cowards? That you're going to allow a handful of psychopaths to take over and run the entire planet and claim ownership of something that was here before they were thought of. And lie their liberty loving tails off to you so they can turn you into a serpent slave. Unreal. And people just sit back and go along with it. Well, I won't mind my slaving now. I'll walk off the cliff, okay? I got no problem. I know I can't survive the fall because it's like 15 miles down, yep. But I'll still do it for the betterment of what? Oh, it's better to give up some of your liberties for security. What idiots. I don't know how anybody's falling for this ruse. Anybody got any brains? Did anybody use even one brain cell? It only takes using one brain cell For all of you people 60 and below, let's go 60 to 40 years old, even though it's deeper than that, okay? But I'll just use that age bracket, 60 years old to 40 years old. So for all of you people from 40 to 60, answer this question for me. You were around before the internet was here. Yep, you sure was. You know, you was around before there was no internet. So how do you suppose the gasoline, the crude oil got pumped across the country, across the world, and got to where it was going and got to its people? We gonna convince you that somebody sitting at a computer managed to shut off your oil when we can't fix it? When all you gotta do is unplug it from the net? How ridiculous is this? What state of emergency? I don't see one. I see Biden carrying out what he told you before he came in. Agenda 21. I see a puppet on his freaking knees to a bunch of banksters. And no, Biden's really not sick. You really don't have dementia. If you're falling for that hocus pocus, it just shows how, oh my God, how slow people are. How their memories just ain't there no more. They can't remember anything past, what, 2 hours ago, right? It's unreal. It's unbelievable. In reality, it really is. It's unbelievable that we should have a situation like this at all. And how people are going to believe this hocus pocus. How you're going to just go along with, well, we ain't got our fuel because, see, there was an internet attack, a cyber attack on the structure, and it won't run no more until it's 60, and blah, 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 blah. What hypocrisy. What complete Looney Tunes. This whole country, this whole world has been in trouble then. Because we couldn't have got our fuel from point A to point B before the internet, huh? Lazy idiots. Fucking one flew over the cuckoo's nest, all right. I live in an insane asylum full of a bunch of insane people that have no critical thinking skills, can't practice using one brain cell, and believes every little piece of BS that falls in your face. The old Puppet Joe over there is no different than any of the other puppets. He's following his orders, and he's a great actor, man. He's got you all convinced he has fucking dementia or Alzheimer's. He's you all convinced that his health is bad when his health ain't bad at all. He's a good actor, man. When he gets out of office, fucking, he'll be just as healthy as can be, just like Hillary was. I mean, these guys are great actors, man. They just fucking pull the blanket right over your eyes. I'll tell you what, I'm doing more than you are. Okay? And that's to the commenter there. I'll tell you what, I've been doing more than you are. Where's your face and name? You want to tell me? Because that ain't your name. That ain't even your face. And so let me know what your face and name in your videos are, coward. Let me know when next time when you're out in public, you open your mouth and start speaking out, coward. I do it all the time. I don't care where I'm at when I speak out. I'll be in Walgreens. I'll be in Walmart. I don't care. I'll be at the doctor's office. I don't care. So what are you doing, coward? See, I can back up what I say, and I've been doing it a long time, but I don't know what the coward that left the comments is doing. Come on. That question's back on you now. Will you please answer that? Please show the world your work. And if you can't show the world your work, please shut your mouth and get the hell out of here. Okay, that's enough of that. If he opens his mouth again, I'll just remove him. That's how that works. Now go play in the internet corner. Ah, you got your Nextdoor account? No problem, man. I can take them out faster than you can create them. Don't bother me any. I'll just be bam, bam, bam. Anyhow, we'll go forward. See, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is the insanity of our world. You can't figure out that you're all headed to your own death. And you're just gladly climbing in line and walking with them. Oh, yeah, of course they will. This is only the beginning. I mean, this is only the beginning. And so we will just do this with that person, and we will say bye bye to them and take care of their problem. Now, their problem is gone. Okay? They had a chance to shut their mouth. They willingly said they'd done nothing. But what am I doing? So you catch my drift? We have somebody who's trying to interrupt the topic because they don't want the public to hear the truth. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a bot. I wouldn't be surprised if it's some fucking agent. I don't care. You know, I really don't care. They can come back with their next troll account and I'll just take it out too. The reality is, I just told you the truth. How did you get your fuel from point A to point B before the internet? I don't recall since the invention of automobiles and gas driven vehicles off of petroleum, I don't recall a time that we had a problem getting our fuel from one point to another. They give you scarcity until you're running out of something you're not running out of, and up the prices to make it more harder on you, or deliberately done, because you allowed a group of people to set up a society based on things that would absolutely destroy you. You done nothing about it and you went along with it. Now they have completely destroyed people's abilities to use their own brain. It's actually sad. Okay, it really is. It's sad. Because the reality is there's no excuse for any of this. There just really is no excuse. You people are walking yourself over a cliff and you're going to fall to your own death. That's what you're going to do. See, the people of this world have the power, not the handful doing this. The handful had doing this to you have the power because you gave away your power. You gave it away. And every time you comply with corruption, you give more of it away and more of it away. And these people that are doing this to you are dead serious. They don't want you here. They think that they own this planet. You know? Well, yeah, I know. Conveniently, it happens just before the summer when people would be traveling. They don't want people traveling. What do you think? Oh, Amazon's right in your face. They changed its entire fleet to Tesla vehicles. They don't want you traveling. They want you locked down in the areas you're in. This is about control. This is about your complete enslavement. This is about genocide. This is what it's always been about. People been screaming this, you know. I've told people 10, 11 years ago, and everybody thought I was nuts. I said, Nazi Germany's everywhere, man. We're playing history. I said it that long ago. And now I'm looking around me and you got all kinds of people fucking seeing it and saying it. But I said it 11 years ago. Okay, you know, and those other people telling you this stuff 11 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it sure was. All of the evidence, everything you need to know is out there. It's been out there. It's there to be read. If you go to the right places like United Nations, NASA, Homeland Security, FEMA, you know, government websites, frequent your freaking government websites, frequency your entities' websites, the DEA, you know, oh, yeah, right, DEA, the Death and Fraud Administration, yeah. Yeah, I believe that. That's because people keep complying with corrupt orders. There was never no, there was never, ever, ever, not even once a pandemic. There was a planned demic, and that can be proven big time. There was a planned demic. That's why the medical system, well, was laying off workers in the middle of it. That's why the clinic in my town that's been busy my entire life since I was a kid in my hometown here. That's why the clinic suddenly, that was the first time I've ever seen the clinic that slow in all my life. Never ever have I seen the clinic with hardly nobody in it in all my life. And in the middle of a time that they should be overrun, they were dead. Why were they dead? Because, oh, well, people just scared to go to the doctors or hospitals during this time. No, BS. Anytime I've witnessed anybody getting sick in all my life, the first thing they do is go to the doctor. We're not even counting the hypochondriacs that live in the doctor's office all the time. If people were really getting sick like they claim, man, people would have been going to them doctors and they would have been overrun. But you didn't see it being overrun. They gave you a BS, more BS alert. For why? Because they know they're lying to you. And you all should know they're lying to you too. No, that's right. No, lying became normal, right? Lying's normal now, right? There's nothing wrong with lies. And then when it comes back and bites you in the crap, bites you in the, you know what? Then you're whining and crying, but they lied. But you had no problem with it. You've been letting them lie all these years to you right in your face. They keep making people dumber and dumber. They keep teaching you less and less. That way you know less and less. They hate people that have knowledge. But, you know, it's a common sense thing. We're talking a cyber attack? Oh, give me a break. Give me a freaking break. Disconnect your damn pipeline from the internet and turn back on the pumps, you idiots. Unfucking real. Get back out your measuring sticks and go out there and start measuring your fuel. Get off your lazy ass and start using your calculators so we make it easier for you. Problem fixed. Man, that was a hard fucking problem to fix. All I had to do is think about how did you get your fuel before the internet, huh? Yeah. And anybody with half a brain, a quarter of a brain, a third of a brain, an eighth of a brain should be able to figure that out. We went many, 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 many decades with no internet. Sure did. We even had no internet when we didn't have no TV. You still had vehicles. That's right. The vehicle was here before TV set was. You were still getting fuel from point A to point B. You were still having your resources. You still had it all under control with no internet. And now you got the internet. Oh my God, the internet disconnected from it. Oh no, it's a state of emergency. No, it's not. BS alert. It's not no state of emergency. Ain't no state of emergency. Oh, Biden told you before he was ever in office that they were going to be moving in on the fossil fuels now. So your upcoming future is going to be bicycles for most people. Bicycles and horses. You ready? Going back to the Western days. You're going to have a bicycle, man. You get a long way on that because you ain't going to be able to afford that Tesla vehicle. And even if you have the money to afford that Tesla vehicle, so what? It's programmed. You can't leave the area. And if you could leave the area, you could only drive as far as the battery would let you. That's right. Can't stop and fuel up. Need more gas? Nope. Need more electric. Oh, it takes longer to charge the battery, doesn't it? Oh no. Now just traveling with your Tesla car is going to cost you more than ever did in a vehicle. You're going to have all these motel stops and paying for the charging the vehicle and oh my God, it's going to be awful. Every couple hundred miles, you're going to be stopped at a motel. It's going to cost you out the yang yang. Yeah. That's what's going to happen there. It just blows me away on how people can't remember that we had no internet for many, 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 many decades, and we had fuel being, well, we didn't have a problem like this. And you're going to tell me you got a pipeline that's been shut down by the internet, okay? And you don't know how long it's going to be down, and these people are going to feel the effect of nothing there because we're not going to disconnect it from the internet and turn back on the pumps, huh? Why, you going to be 10 pumps can't run without the internet? Is that your next little fantasies, fairy tale you want to tell? Your little fairy tale on how it couldn't run without the internet? Was it how did it run all them years before the internet, dum dum? See, they're just outright like they always do, lying to you, lying to you, lying to you. And Kevin would be right, they're hoarding. I mean, they herded it. I mean, really, this is all fucking this shit. There's been shortages of fuel in the past. I remember one time when I was a kid, my dad had two 50-gallon drums, and he filled them bitches completely up and had 100 gallons of gas backed up in his garage because, well, the TV set told him there was a fuel shortage. It was going to be running out. See, it's not the first time they played this game. Not at all. But you need to understand there's no cyber attack to shut down the pipeline. And if they use the internet just to shut it down as quick as you disconnect the damn shit from the internet and turn back on the pumps, you'll have your fuel back. So it's not like it's some lost cause. Hell, they could probably have it done in one day if they wanted to. But see, this has been deliberately done. And it was probably just shut off. There probably was no cyber attack to begin with because you need to understand something. All of the utility companies, including the utility itself called crude oil, that they're telling you about, is owned by the Rothschild dynasty, which is the same entity that owns the Federal Reserve, which is the same entity that prints your damn money, which is the same entity that's behind all of this crap. Evil as hell. I just wish people had a brain left. It's so in your face, man. Biden said it to you before he came in office that we were going to be eliminating fossil fuels, and there ain't no such thing as fossil fuel. But I seen it fall out the man's own mouth before he ever came in office, and he has said it again like 2 times that I've seen since he's been in office. So he's already told you. Now he's already told you 3 times that I know of, that I've seen. Here we are. Biden's administration declares state of emergency on cyber attack. BS. He's just carrying out with what the banksters told him to do. That's all he's doing. He's a great little order following actor puppet. That's what Trump was too. A great little order following acting puppet. I've told people for so long, and I think there's only there's one person that was in this chat, okay, that's totally on board with the same thing that I've been screaming forever, okay, and knows the answer as well as I do. That's Kevin. I mean, unfortunately, the reality is the reality. Do you see the clown show here, man, right underneath Kevin's comment there? Yeah, what do you mean? Ain't no such thing as a fossil fuel. uh, it's so funny that you would call something the Earth naturally makes fossil when fossil stands for bones. You're not going to tell me dead dinosaur bones created your oil without being a Looney Tune from cartoon character off of TV, man. It's just a cartoon. You're in La La Land, fantasy world. You ain't even got a freaking brain cell in your head that works to think something like that. I mean, to think something like that, it only proves that your brains are still in the box and never been hooked up, man. They're still in the box and the plastic wrapped around them and everything. Uninstalled. I'm telling you, man, your brains in your head are uninstalled. They've never been installed. You need to get to the hospital and have them installed and hooked up and turned on. So that you could actually use what's inside your head, that box with the brain still in it unhooked. Somebody got in a hurry and shut up your skull with the brain still in the box and the wrapper. With the installation instructions. I'm sorry to be that sarcastic, but I have to do that kind of comment. I can't help myself. The comment is so foolish that I just couldn't help myself. Because that is absolutely one foolish comment. I would hope the person who wrote that fucking, I'm sure it's a troll, but if it's not a troll or being sarcastically typed, they would have to be right on that chart of zombies, somebody's brains ain't hooked up. Do you even believe the crap? There ain't no fucking such thing as a fossil fuel because there is no such thing as fossil fuel. Fossils are bones, dinosaur bones, dog bones, cat bones. Everybody turns to a skeleton when they die. That's what fossil is. So to say that somehow you're pumping fossil into your tank, huh? What a joke. Clown world, man. They lie. They make all these lies up. And they pull whoppers and they make up these gigantic lies, and all these people just fall for all these gigantic lies. They can't process anything. They can't fucking look into nothing. They can't observe what's going on around them. They won't take the time to go look for themselves. They don't want to hear it because it might hurt their feelings, or oh my God, you might be armed to the camera. You might be walking down the street with your cell phone turned on in video mode and fucking, on a pole. You might be walking down the street with a handicap mounted to a pole in your hand, and you have your handicap turned on when you're walking down the street, and somebody's going, "Oh, call the police! They're armed with a camera. It's a deadly weapon." You better not put me on YouTube. My favorite ones are the people that don't want to be on film, don't want to be put on YouTube, that are just walking, that will never even be noticed, that have to come up to the camera and start a fucking fit. because they don't want to be on it. Now they're a star. And I slapped at them. Now you're going to be a movie star, dummy. You really didn't want to be on there, and that's why you're in such a temper tantrum. Why didn't you just keep going on your way? Nobody would have noticed you. Nothing would have happened. It would have been no big deal. But no, no, no. You want to turn into a big deal. So now the whole world knows who you are. They know you're a nut job. It's unreal. But I watch this shit all the time. I look around me and see what's going on. I keep up on what's going on. And the more I look, the more sick I get. The lies and the psyops are right through the roof. There's so many lies and so many psyops playing out at one time right now. It ain't even funny. Distraction, 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 distraction is what this is. One distraction after another, after another, after another, until they have you all locked down and everything taken away from you, all of your rights, all of your everything. And they can have no trouble doing it because you people gave up your republic many years ago and decided you're in democracy. I don't know why you went along with somebody telling you we're in a democracy. I don't know where your brains was at when the teacher in school said it was a democracy, or your court, your judge, or your lawyers talking about the democracy we're in. When your media is telling you democracy, are you out to lunch in your head? You was never in a democracy, but because they started rattling the word democracy to you over and over and over until you were living in one, you all began to believe it. And now, instead of using your brain to figure out that you were in a republic and democracy are not one and the same, when you try to look up the definition, they want to change the definition and manipulate you into believing that democracy and republic are one and the same when they're not. See, in a republic, your Bill of Rights and your Constitution are inalienable, which means they can never be amended or changed. Okay, they're to be abided by and never be changed or amended. But in a democracy, you can vote your rights away. You can do away with the Bill of Rights and the Constitution simply by voting for it. And they would tell you you voted for it because they say you voted for the people that are sitting up there pretending to be your leaders. And your leaders are the ones doing all the voting for what's going on, what goes into law, what goes into rule. And they've been removing your rights away from you little by little for the last 50 years. Easy. Okay, if not longer. Because you fell and drunk the Kool-Aid. You drunk the Kool-Aid and believed you live in a democracy when you live in a republic. You never understood that a republic protected your Bill of Rights and your Constitution and protected your freedom. A democracy allows them to use that voting system to change and take that away from you legitimately and give you communism. That's how they got all 10 planks of communism implemented into the United States. Because right under your nose, they started calling the United States a democracy. You hear everybody doing it. You hear all your agents doing it. You hear David Icke talk about it. You hear fucking Alan Watt when he was live talk about it. You hear Mark Passy will say democracy. You hear all these people say democracy. Your television set, your me, all of you, all these people around you for umpteen years now have been using the word democracy. Democracy, democracy. That was a deliberate play of words. And that play of words not being challenged was what allowed them to vote away your constitutional and Bill of Rights. So while you're going along with the word play, they're taking your rights away from you because you're going along with the word play and you never challenged it. That's right. This is what's happening to your United States. And then it's being fractured. I don't know if you know what I mean by fractured, but they're fracturing you. They're using the pandemic and lockdowns to mentally frustrate people, collapse societies, and in the United States, you're already seeing the beginning of people fleeing one state to another. New York, California, Washington, people in the West Coast fleeing from fires, fleeing from a pandemic, lockdowns. Yes, we're seeing it. The West Coast going to the middle of the country, the East Coast going to the middle of the country. And what the heck's going on here? Well, that's called a fracture, sort of like breaking a leg or breaking an arm, a fracture, like an earthquake, a crack. Pretty soon you'll probably see something about these states or these cities and these states have been overrun by people from other states, and there'll be controversy over they can't handle them, they can't keep up with them, they get enough housing for them, there'll be this, that, that. And then you'll see states start bickering against states. That's right. And what will that do? That will cause the Great Divide because you're bringing down the United States by every means possible. This is about repeating history. Let's see, RX is ready for pickup. Okay, I don't know, we got one there. But anyhow, I get interrupted there. We're repeating history as I've been telling people for a long time, okay? And you're witnessing right now without even knowing you're witnessing the fracture, which is like an earthquake's cracked across the earth, cracked across the United States, cracking up, fracturing, a crack that's going to lead to a great divide because you get certain states, pay attention to what's been going on. Certain states like New York and California especially have been heavy on lockdowns. The heavier and more tyranny or the more fires and the more BS that happens in these states, the more people that's going to flee. Then people will be fleeing to other states. If we lock people down, you won't be able to flee. But they're not going to be able to just pull your resources out from underneath you overnight without a big rise up. So they have to do it slowly. But you got to pay attention. Mr. Biden told you before he was in office and after he was in office, at least 3 times that I know of, that he has said it, that I've seen it with my own eyes, okay? And them words, and I understood the words plain and clear. It's Agenda 21. It is to do away with the crude oil. And they're not doing away with it, they're just doing away with it from the people. That's all. They're going to keep it for their own selves. They don't want to be locked down, they want you locked down. Do you understand that? That's what that's about. It's all about control. It's all about stealing everything for one group of people. Billions of people, man, and you got maybe 1,000 people that's decided they need to own the planet, who will be fighting each other over the resources too. And claiming ownership that what was never theirs and taking it from everybody and using it as a weapon against them. And you sit back and let it happen and allow it when there's that many of us. So you're all going to walk over a cliff. You're going to kill each other for these people. These people are fucking our problem. The monetary system. Now, none of you can get that through your head. That your money is what's going to kill you. Your money. Man-made construct being used to take everything away from you. Your freedom and your life. Your children's future, their life. Your food, your water, your cars, everything. All of your stuff's going to be taken by a group of bankers because of a monetary system that's a man-made construct, and people ain't got enough brains to figure out you have to walk away from their money. You have to stop complying and walk away from their money. You need to create your own money and fucking ignore them. Stop following the orders. Don't let them say, we're going to give you this much, go over and do this, go over and do that, to stop them. Say, just show them your middle finger, walk away, join everybody else. Realize who your enemy is. Your enemy isn't each other. There's more of us people that you want to call citizens, nobodies, than there is them. And our enemy isn't each other. Never has been. Right now, your enemy is yourself. Because if you won't take the time to look because you're scared, you're your own enemy. And you're going to cause everybody else to fall as well. You need to realize the power they have is because we gave them that power. And only we, the people of this world, can take that power back. But if you're going to go on with your life like none of this is going down at all, and you're going to keep turning your head looking away, then you're going to be complicit with walking off that cliff. And you're going to walk off that cliff to your death as well. There's no excuse for the shape this world's in outside of stupidity. Because the people of this earth own this planet, not a handful. The resources on this planet belong to the people of this planet, not a handful. Nobody has the right to own every inch of land and every resource on this entire planet. Nobody. And if you're going to sit back and let people say, yes, we do and we own, and do nothing about it, when you're falling to your death, you have nothing to complain about. You've brought it onto yourself. You seriously have. You brought it onto yourself. Because when you do nothing about what's going on, then you're going to get what's going on right down your throat. Even when you turned your back and thought they would leave you alone, because they're not going to leave you alone. No, they're not. You are not intended to be left alone, and you will not be left alone. They will destroy your life, and you will do nothing about it because you're a coward. That's what they'll tell you. They'll tell you wanted this. They'll tell you this is what you voted for, even. And they'll smirk at you and say, well, it's what you wanted. And it isn't because it's what you wanted. No, it's manipulation, it's lies, like everything. Like everything else, man. You know, and one thing Montygraph says is so correct is the Smith and Munkins Act, okay? You know, Trump had a chance to do away with that so that it would make propaganda illegal. So all forms of media, radio, newspaper, and mainstream, would now have to tell truth. And if they lied to you, reported propaganda, they'd lose their license and they'd be out of business. See, even Biden has the power to make propaganda illegal, but they don't want it illegal because they use it to brainwash you, to lie to you, to manipulate you for their own selfish greed and wants. But it gets me sick when I can sit there and listen to this man 3 times tell you about fossil fuel, which is crude oil. So he's using the bankster's trick word that's a big lie that crude oil came from fossil fuels, complete lie. Garbage, garbage in, garbage out mouth, garbage in, garbage out mouth, garbage, 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 no truth at all. Complete fairy tale fantasy. Not even reality, right there in a cartoon world. Well, that's because people don't look into nothing. So it's easier to believe what's told you, right, without looking. It's so much easier, right? What a joke. It's such a joke. And to say that the fucking pipeline is shut down because of the internet? Oh, give me a break. All them decades of popular pipelines with no internet running just fine. uh, Running just fine without an internet. And now suddenly, oh no, no, the cyber attack. Well, they're disconnected from the internet and turn pumps back on, dummies. Problem fixed. If they want to do that, that means people have to get out the measuring sticks and get somebody to have to think with their brain and do a little math. Off that thing that you think that you need to live. You know, we all need to live called money that's owned by the people that are doing this to you. How do they get ownership of that? You know how bad they're abusing it? You know it was corrupt from the very beginning? And it's been being abused from the very beginning? Do you know there's no such thing as inflation? Did you know that inflation is a fairy tale, a fantasy, a lie, a complete manipulation? It's a power play, a tool being used to destroy you. No, there ain't no such thing as inflation because anything that's been considered valuable to human beings that we traded with, whether it's gold, whether it's silver, whether it's money, is all a man made construct. What's important is survival. The last time I looked, you're not going to be eating or drinking your oil. You're not going to be eating or drinking your gold, your silver, or your paper currency, or your silver coins. No. The last time I looked, real gold, real silver, real wealth is shelter over your head and food and water. Fresh, clean, running water. That's right. Fresh, clean water and food. But healthy food, not the poison foods they're feeding us. But we've allowed them to poison our foods and we've done nothing about it. We allowed them to play monopoly and monopolize the seed industry for food and re engineer the seed not to produce seed so that they could have a monopoly on it. That's right. We allowed them to attack the farmers and shut the farmers down right under your nose. We sat back and let it happen. We allowed them to control the farmers to the point that the farmer could only grow however much of what he's told to grow and nothing else could be ever brought to market. When a farmer grew extra stuff for himself and sold some in town at the local fucking local market, or local flea market, then he got mad at him for doing that because he was giving people real food that wasn't genetically modified, that was good for their health, and he was growing food he wasn't allowed to grow because he was told he couldn't grow, but only this would be allowed to sell on market. So the stuff that he wasn't allowed to sell on market, he grew, selling uptown at the flea market. Then his farm got raided and attacked, and he got taken out of business because the public wasn't to have their hands on the good food. The public was to have the food they want you to have, which is missing its vitamins and minerals and the things that gives you a strong immune system. See, that's why I just get so annoyed with the fact that nobody wants to do anything when we have to stand together to stop this. And you can't get people to stand together. It's as simple as not complying. You understand? It's as simple as creating your own currency or taking the currency away from who has it, the money. And then you collapse the hierarchy completely. There should have never been a hierarchy. There don't belong a hierarchy. I watched a video last night where the guy told a whole lot of truth, and it was back in like 1983, except for he sent people right down the rabbit hole again. He spoke about equality and said there was no such thing as equality, and equality never works. Did anybody that ever tried equality, it never worked. Do you know what? That's a complete lie. Do you know there is no truth to that at all? You know why they tell you that? Because they don't want people having that, because that's the one thing that would completely stop them. You know, when somebody's a control freak and somebody wants power over other people, they wouldn't want you to have that. Don't you understand that? True equality, they wouldn't want you having that because they couldn't have power over you. Because true equality means everybody's on a fair scale. It means there's nobody above nobody. It means somebody don't out earn somebody else. That's right. It doesn't mean you don't have individuality. Doesn't mean anything to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. It all has to do with people working together for the better of people, for survival. See, when people work together, you got homes built, you got food growing, you got your brainwashing box and your entertainment, you got your streets built, your railroads built, all of your stuff built for you. Okay? You got to go to a grocery store to get your food rather than have to go out and break your butt off to grow your food and hunt your food and gather your food. Okay? Because if you didn't have the system you have, you'd have to be out there working the land and know what the hell you're doing for survival, or you'd be dead a long time ago, right? Right. Okay, so the reality is simple. People need to understand that it's just like all the difference they reported on their genders, the same damn BS. 90% of what's been told to you about genders isn't even true. It's a man made construct that was deliberately taught to you to divide us. Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. Making races mad at races, men mad at men, women mad at women, everybody mad at each other, everybody confused, everybody fighting one another. This is what they want, because through disorder like this that you'll never see what's really happening and you won't stand together. You'd be too busy trying to outdo each other because you're competing. That's another thing that man said. I might even go to that part and show you that exact part of that video and do a reply to it. Might get struck down for doing it, but you know. He was an agent that was up there feeding a lot of truth, but they do what they always do. They tell you a percentage of truth, and then they leave a lot of things out of what they tell you. Okay, because it's about steering the narrative. Steering the narrative. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of truth, but I'm going to leave things out, and I'm going to mislead you on certain things so that I steer you the direction I want you to go. That's what these agents do. And that's exactly what this guy done. I listened to him, and it was like an hour long, an hour and 20 minutes long. And I was just listening along. He was telling a lot of truth. And then I realized, he's making categories now. Yep, there we go. We got the categories going. And he gave the categories for breaking it down. And as he started breaking it down, he was saying all the truth. But then he left this out and that out and this out and that out and never brought this up and never brought that up. Yep. And then as soon as he got through with that topic and made his categories and left all that shit out, he moved on to his new category and he went into equality. Okay? And then he made sure to tell nobody could ever, no, quality don't exist. Quality's been tried. Equality has never worked anywhere in the world. Okay? Never once brought up any important point in order to tell you it don't work, can't work. He used stupid examples of stuff that isn't equality. His example saying how come quality don't work. Because if he was working a legit job making his money, and some foreigner come over here and thought that they should have the rights to have free money from the system while he's working, that foreigner don't deserve that. If that foreigner comes over here and takes a job, and that foreigner working and not here legally, okay, he used all of these lame things and tied them into equality. They have nothing to do with equality, but he used them in equality. Why? To destroy. He don't want you to realize that true equality is the answer. Because true equality means the monetary system's taken away from who has it. Everybody works together, and in return, everybody gets a really super good income. Everybody becomes rich worldwide. Nobody's broke. Nobody's hungry. Nobody's homeless. Oh my God. There's no more hierarchy. I'm not above you. Oh no, I'm not better than you. See, the only people who wouldn't want that are the corrupt people, people who want to control others. The only people who ever tell you that don't work are the people who are corrupt themselves, who think their name is God. Now let's look at reality. From the bottom, us nobodies, clear to the top, we have control freaks. How many of you people can say you know somebody who's a control freak? And I'll bet you the answer is going to be everybody that listens to this video knows somebody who's a control freak of not more than one. Yep, female and male alike, who are absolute control freaks that want everybody to think with their brain and do as they say. How many of you people know somebody like that? I'll guarantee you every one of you do. Do you see what I'm talking about here? They don't have that right. They're no better than the people that are doing this to us. When I said that mankind failed to grow up, I wasn't joking you. That's a complete failure of growing up. Well, it depends on how you want to look at that. They've been pushing there's no such thing as equality forever. They don't want you ever knowing there is such thing as equality. All equality is people working together. People looking out for other people, caring for other people, whether you know them or not, and everybody being on an equal basis. That's all equality is. But when you live in a psychotic world where everybody wants to be somebody else's boss and you have a hierarchy that uses bloodlines, blood, calls themselves royalty, calls themselves kings and queens. Okay? When you have a system set up that's been set up in a hierarchy where everybody has to compete against each other, what does competing against each other does? It turns people against each other. That's right. That's what competition does. It doesn't make a stronger or better world. That's a lie. That's always been a lie. But they'll tell you no, competition is good for you. Yeah, it's good for a psychopath. It's good for a complete nut job. Somebody who's out of their goddamn mind, excuse my language. Somebody that ain't got the first clue of what's falling out their mouth. It's a tool that was used to destroy us. So, when you research, okay, and you look into equality, you're going to see all these people telling you there is no such thing as equality, that it's a man made deception. No, the man made deception is to tell you there is no such thing as equality. That is the deception. The deception is to say there's no such thing as equality because criminals don't want equality. Control freaks don't want equality. Because equality would equal, well, a society of people looking out for each other, nobody being another nobody. You'd collapse the hierarchy. Everybody would make the same amount of money regardless of what their career was. Careers wouldn't determine that you make more money than somebody else. Nope, gone forever to never return. Everybody would make a fair amount of money to where they would become wealthy. Everybody would, as long as they took their part. What is their part? To work with other people for the good of mankind. You want your food? Okay, somebody needs to grow it, somebody needs to harvest it. You want your house? Somebody needs to build it. You want your road? Somebody needs to build it. Want your car? Somebody needs to build it. Want your television set? Somebody needs to build it. Want your furniture, your bed? Somebody needs to build it. Do you follow what I'm telling you? Human beings working together to create everything we already have. In return, There's no more income levels. Everybody gets paid the same amount of money. Even the doctor. That's right. Even the doctor, even the lawyer. Because you're not going to need lawyers as much or justice. You ain't going to need no. You'll still need jails. You'll still need some control. But you won't need the amount you got now because I guarantee you, if everybody treated each other right and everybody was making enough money to be wealthy, okay, but you would have a limit. I would put a limit. Oh, yeah, I would, of course. I would allow somebody to keep buying land and buying land and buying land out of their wealth so that they can take over and corrupt everything you've set up for their own greed. Nope, sorry, not allowed. All the things that would lead us back to where we're at now is the only way you could get yourself locked up or lose your income. You'd be punished for that type of behavior. You'd be limited on how much you'll be able to buy. Why would I do such a thing? To keep a world like we're living in now from ever returning. Because I'll guarantee you, if everybody made a wealthy living to where everybody was had what they needed, could travel, could buy with what they needed when they wanted, okay, and could have a really good life, everybody equally, and it had nothing to do with career and had nothing to do with gender. The division that we would overturn just through that by itself would be amazing. And then if you take that into consideration and people start working together, and nobody says you have to be somebody's friend. People are individuals and they have their own personalities. So of course you learn how to work with people that you may not be hanging out with, but at the end of the day, when you make friends that you hang out with, you're gonna have fun and you're all gonna be on a level, even level. I mean, I could make the world a better place for everybody if everybody wanted that, but unfortunately, we got too many people from the bottom to the top that freaking drink the Kool-Aid, can't figure anything out for themselves, can't use any critical thinking skills, and go look into things that's been wrote deliberately to destroy, okay? And to say that equality is a man made deception, well, I'll give you man made deception money, gold, silver. It can't make you survive. Real gold, silver, and money is food, water, and shelter. Real happiness and wealth is treating other people and being treated properly. Having your major needs and being happy is true equality. Is true equality. The deception is to tell you it's not. Yeah, I repeated that because it needs repeated. I mean, equality, as far as I'm concerned, means one and the same. But I understand people love to take words and make umpteen definitions to one word. Screw that. That's called word games. That's more manipulation using words. You got to be careful of words because words have been used. Very serious harm comes from words. Like, we're in a republic. The United States is a republic. Has been, always will be. It's not a democracy. Democracy doesn't equal the same as republic. I said this at the beginning of this live stream. Democracy means you can vote away the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, and you can add amendments to the Constitution by voting. Okay? A republic, your Constitution and Bill of Rights are inalienable. They can never be amended or changed. That's why everybody's calling the United States a democracy now. That way, the people that you pretended to elect that are up there playing your puppet governments who are nothing but a corporation working for banksters, okay, and actors. But these people will sit there and they'll do the voting and say they get to vote the laws and change the rules because you voted them into office. That's what they'll tell you. You voted for them. And because they tricking you with a play of words calling the United States a democracy when it's a republic, and you did nothing about it, never challenged it, you keep letting them say it, you accepted it. So once you accepted it, now they're legal to do away with your Constitution and Bill of Rights. And they've been picking at it little by little and getting by with it. You know how many amendments have already been made to the Constitution that was illegally could never be made? Any amendment to the Constitution should be non-void immediately. You was in a republic. It was inalienable. You could never change them or amend them. Well, then how'd the amendments get here? Because we played a word game on you. And we told you you lived in a democracy. That's how we changed them. And you never challenged it. You kept your mouth shut and went along with it. Just like now. You keep your mouth shut and you go along. Keep your mouth shut, you go along. Keep your mouth shut, you go along. And at the end of the day, you're all falling off a cliff to your death and America's gone forever. They're already working on fracturing and cracking and breaking up this country from every angle they can come up with. I don't know what else to tell you, but this is about what I had to say today. I'm going to get on out of here, but this hocus pocus up there in front of your face, I'm going to say it one last time. Then disconnect the internet from your pumps and turn your pumps back on. And there is no state of the emergency. Hocus pocus, alakazam, we lied to you again, and now we're screwing you again. This lines up with what Biden told you before he ever came in office. We're coming after your fossil fuel. Just remember, it's not fossil. There's no such thing as fossil fuel. It's petroleum. The earth naturally makes petroleum. Just like the earth naturally filters your drinking water and gives you the aquifers. And the planet Earth is 3/4 water. There's no clean water shortage. Oh, there's clean water shortage if you look on top of the earth because it's all polluted from big farming, chemtrails, from the military industrial complex, and on and on. It's all polluted. Every last bit of it. But if you drill deep enough and get down through the rocks, the best spot to go, into the aquifer, you're going to pick up fresh water rising up out of the earth that's being filtered, and it's going to be the clean, fresh drinking water. No fluoride in it, no big farm in it. That's right, no aluminum, no barium for chemtrails. Healthy, clean drinking water. And no, there is no shortage. Do you know they're talking about going around and putting meters on people's personal water wells? Yeah, they're wanting to go on to land that somebody's bought that they got their own water well and their own pump and install a meter on their line from their pump and charge them money for that water. If they show up to do that to you, die fighting. Take the bitch out. Don't allow it. They don't own the water. They don't own the planet Earth. A handful of people do not own it. They can stick it where the sun don't shine. But I guess when somebody gets them gonads and decides that they can start standing together and start really looking at what's going on instead of denying and turning your back and looking the other way, then and only then could we see some change. But we're not going to see any change as long as you keep going along and everybody keeps their mouths shut and everybody keeps fighting one another. You can't stay divided and win. You're going to lose. You're going to lose because you're not standing together. They got their power from us, the people of this world. And only us, the people of this world, can take that power back. And you can only take that back by non-compliance. You don't go to bloodshed unless you're forced to. But when somebody starts doing tyranny to try to force you to comply, then everybody needs to stand up for each other and defend that person that somebody's trying tyranny with. If a cop comes along and wants to play Hitler, play a Nazi, if the cops are going to become Nazis and they're abusing somebody in front of you, then 100, 200, 300 people need to barge in and put a stop to that cop. He's a Nazi. He's repeating history. He's too stupid to be alive. He is a terrorist, is what he is. He's following orders of criminals and calling himself a law enforcement officer, when he's actually a criminal enforcement person, a thug, allowing history to replay itself. And then, of course, the people being turned against the cops, don't you understand they're destabilizing your country? Yeah, they've been doing that. What do you think Black Lives Matter was about? What do you think KKK was about? What do you think the Pink Panthers are about? What do you think all these groups are about? It's destabilization. Why do you think they keep bringing foreigners into your country? To destabilize. Why do you think they gave you the feminist movement, broke up the family unit? Destabilization, destabilize, disrupt. Disrupt and destroy. Divide and conquer. All of these things I've been talking about for years. Right in your face. They're all right in your face. So when I told you you failed to grow up, that's why I said that. When you stop acting like children, you start recognizing what's going on, and you stop fighting over differences, because you're allowed to think differently than me, and I'm allowed to think differently than you, and you're all allowed to think differently than each other because you're all individual people. But that has nothing to do with what's going on in this world. Your feelings and my feelings may differ in certain areas, but you can answer this one question. If everybody in this room had the chance to make enough money to live comfortably and never be broke and always be able to afford to go anywhere they want, okay, in return for doing their part, which is just simply taking a job, right? And jobs would only be for as long as needed based on the amount of people and the amount of products you're producing. So maybe if it's done properly, we don't got to have tons of overabundance of products, which means people will work less hours. That's right. We work for the hours for the things that we need to have, and enough over that if something breaks, we can blah blah. When we need more of it, we manufacture more of it, and people work less. Don't change your pay. You still get the same amount of pay per month that everybody's going to get, as each person's going to get. And it's going to be a very generous amount of money so that nobody will ever be broke. If your car breaks down, no problem. Go get a new one if you have to. No big deal. That's right. Need food? Go get some food. No big deal. Want to travel? No big deal. That's right. Everybody deserves to have a life where there's no homelessness, where nobody's homeless. Everybody has their needs met. Everybody deserves that. And the people that don't want to do their part, then you don't give them any money until they do their part. Then they want to have what everybody else has, they do their part. Because food didn't grow itself, houses didn't build itself, roads didn't build itself, cars didn't build itself. If you want to enjoy the entertainments and things of life, then you help to build the things that you need. That's all. That's not asking too much. If you was a survivalist living off the land, you'd be working every day just to get your food and get your shelter and get everything you had, or you'd have nothing. You'd die. See, that's how that works. You die. You literally pass away. And if you don't want to die and pass away, then you do the work needed to get the food and get the clean water and blah, blah, blah. Take care of yourself, right? Well, working together makes it easier for everybody. We've already proven that. Look at all the stuff you already have, okay? It's always, the problem's always been allowing a handful of people to control and run everything over other people and convince other people they need somebody else to tell them how they can live and what they can do and blah, 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 to hold their hand through life. You don't need other people to hold your hand through life. Yeah, I know. Welcome to the Hunger Games. I know. How well I know. I mean, the answer's been right in your face the whole time. And I don't know what to tell people out of. I put the answer in your face and I'm showing you and I'm telling you honestly, and I can't do any more than that, okay? What's going on right now doesn't have to be going on. It's we can easily stop it, but we can't stop it without numbers. And that means you need to understand where these people get their power from. They get their power from us the people of this planet. And us the people is where they got their military from. They couldn't have a military complex, military industrial complex without us the people. And military couldn't be going over and killing other people and other military in other lands without us using our brains. When somebody orders you to freaking get in a goddamn jet and get in a boat and go to some other country and invade their country and start shooting and killing people, you tell them to stick it in a yin yang and you don't fucking comply. Well, but the court martial us. Well, if enough of you say up yours, they won't court martial you. They wouldn't have no navy. They wouldn't have no army. They wouldn't have no marines. They'd have no military because they'd have to lock them all up. Now, what good would that do them? Oh shit! They lost at their own manipulation game, didn't they? Now they ordered the military to go do something, and the military stood down, and sergeants and generals were throwing fits, and they couldn't do it, and they were going to court martial, but suddenly everybody around them wasn't doing nothing, and to try to court martial would be impossible because we'd have nobody. That's exactly right. What happened to their power? Oh no, they lost. That's right, because everybody said no. Now you see how easy it is to straighten this crap out? That's how easy it is to fix it. But at the same time, it's hard as hell because you got all these control freaks and all these people that drunk the Kool-Aid that want to believe the lies and don't want to look into anything. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm telling you, it's retarded. But I've been up here about 100, about an hour and 20 minutes now or so. I'm gonna get on out of here. Okay, I'll be back another time, but I had to say something about this. And to Mr. Grim man there, I threw my email at you my last live stream. Maybe someday you'll use it and jump on Zoom. Would love to chat with you sometime. That's to my last commenter, Grim. I remember you. I don't forget people who are awake. I really don't. I do not forget people that are like-minded like me that are awake. And you, Mr. Grim, you definitely are. You've proven that to me. So yeah, I'd love to talk to you sometime. That being said, guys,